In today's episode of the Wild Party Podcast, I'm joined by Yasmin Wade, the founder of Yassi's Butta. Yasmin's journey began with a mother's love and a mission to find a natural solution for her daughter's severe eczema. What started as a personal remedy for her family has grown into a beloved plant-based skincare line, gaining recognition in Vogue, Vanity Fair, and many more. We dive into Yasmin's incredible journey from her kitchen to the shelves of boutiques and upcoming launches in San Francisco. She shares her experiences with product manufacturing, including the challenges and triumphs of working with natural ingredients, finding the right partners, and keeping her commitment to sustainability at the forefront. So keep it cool, keep it smooth, and let's get the party started. Welcome to the Wild Party Podcast, where we celebrate the visionaries behind vegan, ethical, and sustainable business. In each episode, we'll dive deep into their journeys, uncovering the why behind their mission-driven business. I'm your host, Stephanie Lahart. Tune in with me for passionate discussions about overcoming challenges, innovative marketing strategies, and the power of using business as a force for good. So whether you're an entrepreneur seeking guidance or a conscious consumer wanting to support impactful brands, join us as we explore the stories behind the businesses that are changing the world for the better. Let's get the party started. And today I am welcoming to the show Yasmin Wade of Yassi's Butta. Welcome to the show, Yasmin.
Hi, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh, you have one of those products that literally once I get my hands on, I'm doing all the things with it. So before we even get into your journey,
Sure.
explain to me a little bit about. Actually, that might get into the intention. I'm just telling you guys who are listening right now, this is a product you're literally going to use from tips to toes. Is that correct?
Totally correct.
Yes. And I think that is the intention as we talked a little bit in our pre-interview. But I also did a fair amount of research on you. So tell me, this product that we're calling a tips to toes kind of product, what was the driving force behind, you know what, I need to create a product that really can be used as an overall body experience? Where did that come from?
Well, it actually originally came from my daughter having really bad eczema. She was like 5 years old and just had it so bad. And we would keep taking her to the doctors, getting cortisone cream, shots, the whole thing. And it would just come back, the flare up. So it's not like it was like a cure all. So then I went old school and was like, you know what? This stuff also just noticing it was like bleaching her skin. We're a mixed ethnic family. Got Middle Eastern, we got Black, we got European, we got it all. So her skin was turning white in those areas, and I was just trying to figure out what was happening. And then they're like, oh, that's a side effect. And then once you start diving into something that you're using all the time, what's all in it, and you're putting it on a 5-year-old, I just really was like, oh, this is not making me comfortable. So I kind of just started Googling like really amazing ingredients and organic that I could put on her myself and figure a way to just, if it's going to be something we have to put on daily or when she has flare-ups, which at that time was happening a lot, I wanted to make something for her. And then when I made it, just for that intention, we just realized it was actually really good for everything else. Because once you start reading the ingredients, all the benefits, you're like, oh, it's actually great for your hair. It's great for your skin. I can use it as deodorant. Just for everything that made me happy because I'm actually a type of person that doesn't like a lot of products. I just don't like, and we have, male, female, the whole thing. And I just was like, it's silly that there's like male products versus female products, which is silly. We're just bodies and hair. So, so I'm also suffer from migraines. So the smell came into effect. So all of that was really started from my daughter, Sunny. And then it just kind of blossomed from there. And then we could probably ask me more questions and it'll just keep leading to the rest of the storyline.
Yeah, we're going to get into everything. So Yassi's Butter is an overall body butter that you can literally use on your hair, on your face, on your skin, on your nails, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
yeah.
it treats a multitude of different symptoms. Well, it treats a multitude of different situations, whether they be symptoms or simply just wanting healthy skincare, correct?
Yeah, you just want to be glowing. Like right now, it's in my hair. It helps with the curls. It's great for straight hair too on the ends when you're just, blow drying and the straightening and all the stuff. It just moisturizes without greasy feeling or, with mousse and all that's crunchy or gels, it's crunchy. It also has ingredients that you can't even read, most of them. So I just, yeah, I put it on every morning, every night, everywhere. Like I literally use it for everything. And that way you save a lot of money too. I mean, uh, that's and the whole family uses it. And my dog too. After a hike, it goes on the dog's paws, it goes on his belly. Sometimes he's a ginger dog, so he actually gets raw on the stomach. So I put it on, and within a day or two, it's completely soothed um and he feels good. So and he's so yeah, so I use it for everything, and it makes me
Well, wow, you just gave me some ideas because I also has a dog that is light colored and has a multitude of skin problems. And now I'm like, wow, I'm going to try it on him too. But let
yeah.
me go back to the journey starting with your children. So you had mentioned that your daughter was suffering from eczema and being a mixed culture, mixed kind of, I guess, colored skin family, it's very true. I've talked to other entrepreneurs like you that have darker skin, and they're like, we're totally misdiagnosed when we go to the doctors. And that's because any studying or really product development traditionally was done on very light skin. So it doesn't surprise me when you said, hey, these products that they were, suggesting to my daughter were actually changing the pigmentation of her skin, especially steroids. So,
Hmm.
it's really important that when you're looking for a solution for your family that you take into account where was this product developed and for who, because it does react on a lot of different skin types. So, coming from
Yeah.
that background, I can imagine it was very frustrating for you in the beginning where they're trying to give you an all-in-one solution and you're like, "No, this is actually hurting her more." And they're like, "Well, this is what we have." So, you had to
Yeah.
have been just a very creative person, just in general, to say, you know what? I'm not taking no for an answer. I bet I can figure out something different. So tell me a bit about the journey for you of when you first started saying, well, I'm going to try and develop a product. How did you even really know where to go to just like decide which kind of products to try?
Well, I have, from family members, like, from my ex's side, there's the West Indian culture. And so we had a cousin stay with us, and she used a lot of shea butter and coconut oil. And then I kind of fell in love with that, but the coconut oil was too, coconutty. Like you just don't want to smell like a coconut. So, but combining the two, I was like, oh my God, this is like so silky and smooth and yummy with the shea butter. And then just realizing that's the other flip side. Like my mom and his mom are actually very fair skinned blonde women. So, um, they also don't feel like they should be using shea butter, which is like I don't know why it's out there that that should only be for black people, which is like their product. Whenever you go to like the like the Rite Aid or the CVS, it's like they have their section, which is so weird. Sometimes I'm like, why do we have separate sections? Like we all, again, it's one organ. We all need moisturizer, and it actually benefits us both. It's not like shea butter can't be used on white skin. It actually is amazing on white skin. My mom like loves it, and she's super fair skinned. Um, so I just wanted to, merge the two worlds. So like for Persians, we use pomegranate oil, which my dad's Iranian, my mom's German. So I just kind of melded all the oils. I was just like, I'm just gonna get fat, I'm fascinated with like, and I love to cook. So to me, it's like adding extra seasoning, you know what I mean? So I just put all the different oils together that I thought were just going to be amazing. Like calendula oil, so good, especially for the eczema. Um, and yeah, so I just started, putting together jojoba oil, which I always mispronounce, by the way, but that's okay. Um, uh, you just read about it and you're just like, why is it only, just you don't have to just have one. I mean, I do have a lot of ingredients, but they're all, you can read them all. It's not like there's sometimes when you're like, there's too many ingredients, it means there's something wrong with it. And it's just the ones you can't read or understand or super scientific. Mine, it's all for a purpose. Each ingredient is organic. It's very clean. It's all the benefits. I looked up each one to make sure that it actually just did something amazing for you. And then I just had fun putting it together, like, as I call it, like a stew, I guess, like for your hair and skin.
It's like a beautiful, healthy uh cocktail of
Yeah.
natural ingredients, which I love too. I am one of those people that I look at ingredient lists for everything,
Yeah.
not only for myself but my dog too because of his skin condition. And I get very nervous when I see too many ingredients. And what you were saying about shea butter is so true. I was one of those people that never would have touched it, up until a few years ago, because you're right, it was very much marketed to only the darker community, whether they were black or Latino or just any person of
Mhm.
color. It never occurred to me as a very fair-skinned white girl that I would use that product. And honestly, in my mind, it seemed like it would be a very heavy product. For some reason in my
Oh,
mind, I thought, oh, that's really heavy, that would be too greasy for me. And then
no,
I started
not
using it.
greasy
I'm
at
like, this
all.
is amazing. And coconut oil, amazing. I didn't
Yeah, it
even know
absorbs so
you could.
nicely and you don't feel greasy at all and
No.
do not break out. I've never broken out. I put it on every morning and night all over my face, neck, chest before I go to bed. I put it in my hair too, so before I go to bed, just to re-moisturize it. Because sometimes when you sleep on your pillow and it just goes in real quick, so you don't, it's not like your pillow gets greasy. You know what I mean? It
Hmm.
just absorbs so quickly. Um, and then when I wake up, I don't have as many knots. And, because for us, we either have to put something over our head to sleep or you're going to wake up with like, crazy amount of mini dreads everywhere.
Well, for
So,
those of you that are only listening to the audio version of this podcast, I invite you to go look at the video version because Yasmin's curls are gorgeous. I am
thank you.
insanely jealous. I have a little wave of my hair, which immediately just flattens out by the end of the day. And I was like, if I could just have those curls, I would simply put a little bit of Yassi's butter in it too and just be like, I'm an all natural beauty. You make it look
Oh,
so
thank you.
easy.
I
So,
appreciate it. Well, yeah, it's just a way to keep it healthy without, again, looking like crunchy fake curls, you know?
yes. Well, we know that the entrepreneur journey can be, let's say, not as smooth and silky as a curl sometimes. So tell me what it was like for you going from I have an idea from this product to I'm going to create it in bigger batches and then be able to sell it to the public. What did that look like for you?
Well, it actually just happened to me, to be honest, because I literally just made it for my family. And then I would make extra because I would make a huge pot of it and pour it into jars. And I always put it in glass jars and anything recyclable around the house. But then I started, and then I would gift it at like baby showers, just as like a fun, like, oh, this is something I make, and I love gifting. Sometimes people knit things or whatever, and you make your own homemade. So I would gift them at baby showers or wedding, bachelorette parties or whatever I would go to. I'd put them in everyone's bag and it was kind of like a funny, like, this is my butter. This is Yazzy's butter. And then somebody got it that owned a store in Beverly Hills and was like, I'm opening a store. It's a Turkish import store. It's called H&E Goods. It's amazing. It's beautiful. They have beautiful products there. And she wanted to carry my product and she was the first one. I was like, really? I make it at home. And, so that at that point was like, oh, could be legit. Like this could be something else because I have a completely other career. Um, but this could be my next adventure in life. And then all of a sudden, like the light bulb, that's when the light bulb went off, when somebody else wanted to actually carry my product. It was never in my intention to go that route. I just was enjoying it for myself and for friends and family. And then from there, she kept reordering. And I was like, oh, okay. And then somebody got it from there who does branding at like events, like the Oscar events or the gifting bags. And then they asked me, and then they asked me to be in magazines. And it just kind of happened to me. And like behind me here is my wall of, the magazines I've been in because it's sometimes I'm always like, how did this happen? Um, I got into LA Weekly because the woman that writes for them uses my butter, and she came up to me at one of my pop-ups during Christmas. I did Unique Markets, which is a great pop-ups for like small businesses during the holidays, or I think now they do, and they're in multiple cities, but I do the one in LA. And she came up to me, Lisa Boone, and she was like, I love your product. Do you make it in LA? And I was like, yeah, I make it. At that time I was making it at home. Now I'm in a boutique lab, which we can get into, but which is also in LA. So she did a write-up on me and I didn't even expect it. And then somebody else called me who still gets the paper and was like, "Do you know you're featured in LA Weekly?" And I was like, "No, I had no I mean, sorry, LA Times, LA Times." Um, and I was like, "No, I had no." So anyways, it was like a whole spread and I was like, "Oh my God, she's so awesome." So I really lucked out in the not having to push it too much on my own, but it is taking time still with all that hoopla because that's business. Nothing happens overnight. It's still a building process. I'm in like, I think like, I'm keeping count because I just got into another store, but about 9 stores now that are local to LA and then one in New York. And I'm about to go this weekend to open in a boutique shop in San Francisco. So it's a journey for sure. But I've been on a lucky one because I prefer to be with people that actually like my product. So I don't want to just so I've been lucky that way. I've grown because someone got my product, loved it, wanted to write about it, or invite me to a situation because of it, or heard about me. And once I got to be in their store. Like there was a client, a customer that liked me but didn't want to pay for shipping. So she introduced me to her local like eco-friendly store, boutique shop around the corner from her house. And she's like, I'd rather come to you guys and buy the product. I want to introduce you to. And this was a store in Highland Park called Luca. Another amazing store, by the way. And we became fast friends because she's on the same page as me, where she just likes very clean products in her place. And we hit it off immediately. Turns out we're both Persian. It was just like wild. So the journey's been an adventure, like, you know what I mean? And you got to be able to just enjoy that ride and not get too caught up in all the numbers. And um, people will come to you if they love your product. And pretty much that's been my journey. Like I've been lucky that people that love my product look me up, find me, and I don't even know. Sometimes I'll get orders from like Wisconsin or like, places I'm like, how they find out about this? Or someone the other last week told me, oh, from Luca, she said that she had a customer that was in New Orleans and they were talking about psoriasis or something. And they were like, they pulled out my butter. And she was like, oh my God, I know that store in Highland Park carries it. And I know the owner. And that's so weird that you pulled it out here in New Orleans. So, um, but again, I'm still small business. I haven't like blown up yet. It's still a journey. Um, you just got to keep on keeping on. I say yes to a lot of things. And each thing, even if in that moment you don't feel like anything is going to happen, because it could be like, oh my God, I only have 4 customers and I went to this pop-up and it was literally 4 people. Well, from that, I met somebody else who met somebody else, and then it got me into a store. And so that day wasn't a total wash. Do you know what I mean? So if you have the time, you do it.
That is very true. And I will tell you from speaking to as many as entrepreneurs and small business as I have, you definitely want a slow growth with your business because it allows you to prepare all the steps. Like I know people
Mhm.
watch things like Shark Tank and think, "Oh, overnight all of your dreams are, fulfilled." But you also have to be at the point in your business that you can take that next step if it is a larger step. And what I'll say about Yassi's butter is this. So I was introduced to your product at the Los Angeles Clean Tech Incubator Women's Brunch a couple of weeks ago.
Oh,
I
no.
was in attendance there, and I was there with a friend. And when they were starting the event, they were announcing, "Oh, we have these gift bags," and they announced what was in the gift bags, and they said, "You'll get a sample of Yassi's butter." Well, the girl that I was with literally like lost her mind. She's like, "Oh my God, they're going to give us Yassi's butter." She was freaking out. And I'm like, "What is this?" She's like, "Wait till you
Oh
see it."
my God,
She
I
couldn't
love
wait.
that.
Now, they did make us wait till the end of the event to give us the gift bags, okay? And as soon as we're leaving, we get our gift bag. She like tears into the gift bag, opens up the butter, and she's like, "You have to try this." Like we're not even at our car yet.
That's
And she's
hilarious.
like a rabid fan of yours, okay? She
Oh,
makes me
that's
try it. I'm like,
awesome.
oh my God, this is amazing. And sure enough, I get home and I'm just like lathering it all over my body. I'm just looking for the fountain of youth. This is
Yeah,
amazing. And I am a smell girl. Like I am very
that's my
sensitive to
thing.
smells and stuff that is overwhelming or that smells just a little bit too fake. Like, when you have products that are like vanilla and it's that awful fake vanilla. So I'm always very leery.
Or
I'm
I
like,
just
what
don't
does
want
it
to smell
smell
like
like?
all vanilla. Yeah, I
Yes,
don't want to smell like, or just like I don't want to smell like coconut oil.
right.
Like coconut oil, but I don't want to smell like coconut oil.
And it has to be
So,
a certain scent too. Like many years ago, there was a nail polish brand that came out that was scented. And of course it got very trendy. People were into it. And I remember buying it and putting it on my nails. And it literally lasted on my nails about 2 minutes because the smell was something I couldn't deal with. And I
yeah,
found like I didn't realize how much my fingers were near my face, right?
yeah.
So anyway, I was totally excited about your product, so much so that I immediately reached out to you. I'm like, please be on my podcast. So
Oh,
when you were saying
yeah.
like people just keep talking about you and finding out about you, this is how. Because my
Yeah.
friend who was already a fan turns me on to it. I'm like, oh, I have to make sure other people know about this product too. And I want to hear about your journey because I just think it's so great that you had this idea and are sharing it with the world. So first of all, thank you.
Yeah,
It's been so,
sure.
amazing for me too. So you had mentioned a little bit ago about you were now doing the boutique. Was it a boutique lab in order to create
Yes.
larger
So I
scale? So
got
tell me
lucky.
how that happens
Oh
now.
my God, I got so lucky. Well, what happened was I went to the bigger labs because I had no clue. And they were wonderful. It's nothing bad to say. It was just more like something that overwhelmed me because I'm like, hey, I don't have this kind of money. And everyone's like, well, get on Shark Tank. I'm like, I'm not a I don't want to have to be on, like, I'm still so small. Sometimes the way they talk, it's like, I don't want to be shot down like on national television. I'm sorry, but no diss on them either. But it's like, I just want to grow and flow in a different way. You know what I mean? So, um, and I went to the bigger one, but they want like 500 units, and I have multiple sizes for everyone's needs. Like, if you want to travel, you get a travel size. If you Once you get like addicted and the whole family's diving in, I have the family size, which is the 8 ounce. I also have teeny 1 ounce, which is one of my stores, Luca recommended, as well as the bomb. That was her idea, is because people who are just want to try something out and they don't know if they're going to like it, they're not going to want to get even a 2 ounce. They're just, so that's how the sales start happening, because people would buy the 1 ounce and all of a sudden they'd be like, oh my God, I really love this. Then they go to the 2 ounce. So we have like a pyramid of like addiction. So like you're kind of like, by the end, you are buying the 8 ounce and you're like, the whole family, and people are hiding it because they're like, my husband stole my butter. Like, it's hilarious. I have people telling me how they have to hide it in a drawer now. I did even a funny post about that. So, I needed to go to a place that, I just went on a totally different tangent. But anyways, I had to go to a place that could fit my needs and my budget, because I'm going out of pocket for everything. Or like my mom might be helping me, let's put it that way. But it's staying in the family so that it's not overwhelming and we can enjoy it, the ride together, I guess, is another way to look at it. But so I tried this lab, but they actually could never get the scent right. And they were actually also stuck on having to use chemicals to preserve it. And they're like, well, it's going to melt. And I'm like, I know, it's okay. Then refrigerate it. You know what I mean? It's still oils. It'll last 3 years, whether it's melted or it's solid. And if it's hotter weather, I just put it on my website. I explain it on my packing slip. Hey, it's warmer seasons, this will melt. If you leave it outside in Palm Springs, it's going to be pure oil. You put it in the fridge, it's just like European butter. So it's smooth leave it on your counter, it'll stay smooth. But if it's in hot weather, it will melt. It will not go bad. Nothing bad happening. It's just a different consistency. And then shea butter can crystallize. So it'll look like, oh, why is there little bits in it? It's not. It's just crystallized. It can exfoliate. And then it melts within seconds into your skin or your hair. So it's not anything that's gone bad. But they really were stuck on like, how are you going to sell it in big stores? They're not going to want this. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, I know, but I feel like everyone's getting comfortable with the fact that organic ingredients shift. They're not going to go bad. They're not, da, 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 but they're not, I don't need to put toxins in to just make it sell, like, so everyone is kind of catching on because as soon as I explain it, everyone's cool with it. I actually have that tagline on my label. It says, keep it cool to keep it cool to keep it smooth. Um, and so that bigger factory did not work for me financially because they wanted 500 units and I have 5 sizes now. I could not buy 500 units minimum of 5 sizes from the, coming out of the gate. It just was, I'm still not even there right now. Like that's just too many units. I don't even know, it's stored in my house still, like what's happening. But I found a boutique agency because I was so frustrated. And I literally, again, just having coffee talk with a friend. And she was like, oh my God, I know this lab in LA. They're super boutique. They make like CBD oils, products, blah, blah, blah. I immediately reached out to them and they're like, yeah, we'll totally. And then within not even a couple months, they literally were able to recreate my product, smell everything exactly like me. I mean, they made a little fun of me because I was giving them like measurements of like food measurements versus like how they do it in milliliters and all that. But we got there. And so now I can pick up a case if I need to. I don't need to buy 500 units because some like my 8 ounce, I sell that more online than in stores. So I don't need 500 of them in my house right now. One day soon, but um maybe one day soon it won't all be in my house, but I'm at least not making it at home. And because I am at a level where I have to make so much and I still have my other career. So I was getting burnt out. So I am so grateful that I found this lab. And again, sometimes you have to learn, you'll have like bumps in the road. So that was 2 years of being in the wrong place, not because they're bad, they're just for different products, not for my product, right? Um, but that was 2 years, and I was so like bummed afterwards because I was like, oh my God, that didn't work out. Where am I gonna go? And then literally one coffee talk, and it was like, boop, new direction, new place. In 2 months, they had my product ready to go. And so now I just go and pick it up. So they make it, I still pick it up and distribute from here.
Well, you said
That's
something very smart, and it is really about enjoying the journey and not worrying so much about like being the overnight success with orders that you can't fulfill. Because again, I'll harken back to, everybody wants to be on Oprah's best list or Oprah's pick list or whatever. But are you at the level in your business to fulfill those kind of orders is what I say to people, honestly, right? We
yeah.
always have to figure out how to build and scale and things like that. And then also, what I heard from you, it's very important for you to stay very true to very clean and sustainable materials that you're using, ingredients. So tell me a little bit about as far as like what does the sustainability factor mean to you in your business? Because you did mention you use glass jars.
Hmm.
So
You
tell
can
me about like the
recycle them.
whole, packaging of your product as well.
Well, the packaging was more like once you read like plastic ingredients again, because you can travel with it. If it's sitting in heat, that I feel like, I don't know, for me, it feels like it's just like water bottles. I don't like having my water bottle sit in the car and then drink it later. I'm just kind of like, I'm pretty sure there's something scientifically happening here that I'm not just drinking water anymore. So I kind of felt like that for my butter. So I just wanted to go old school. I'm like, I'm gonna put this in glass, and I haven't stopped. And again, everyone's like, well, what about shipping? And again, the bigger companies aren't gonna want glass. And I'm like, well, again, I think we'll catch up. At some point, if someone's gonna make the product that has everything that what I actually want, somebody else is going to want that too. Somebody else is going to be okay with the glass again. You know what I mean? Because in the 70s, everything was glass and we all survived.
Well,
And
the funny thing is too, for me, I always feel like things have more value when they're in a glass packaging and something like that. With everything becoming plastic, 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 we all quickly got into that mentality of everything's disposable, which meaning nothing had value. Everything could be thrown away. So, and I will say myself included as far as products, throughout my lifetime, many times I'll buy a product, I'll use a certain amount of it. Maybe there's still left half in the bottle or whatever, and I'll throw it away because I'll be like, I'll get a new one, right? You
Yeah.
don't do that with products in glass.
No.
It makes me feel like back in the 50s when like makeup came in these beautiful containers you would have on your vanity, right? It was something to
Yeah.
look at. And I
Yeah.
think we're moving towards that now more as a society and a culture where we are like, you know what? We should value the stuff we buy more and use the entire product because throwing away doesn't go away. It
Because you
goes
can't
into a
squeeze it all out.
landfill.
You really can't squeeze it out. But in my glass jar, you can get every
And I
last
love that.
last drop of the butter out of there. Like you
I
literally
love that.
can just scoop your hand in and just keep until it's like clean, pretty much. And when I have things in plastic, it's like you're squeezing, but you're losing like a nice amount is not and again, it changes the smell, the consistency, anything that sits in plastic to me, I've with my glass jar, it's the butter stays the same no matter what. And again, it lasts 3 years. So you can leave it in your, cabinet for 3 years. I actually went to my cousin's and I was like, because my labels have changed, and I noticed I was like, oh my God, girl, this is still like, because I was in Maryland visiting my family, and she was like, oh, I hide my butters all over the house. So I go in a cabinet and I'm like, oh my God, this has the OG label. This thing is literally like, actually, it was older than 3 years, and it was still like, I opened it, I put it on, and it was still like amazing. And I'm like, you need to, and so I had to go through all her cabinets and be like, this one needs to get used first. Like you can't just like, because you have a few of them with different labels now that I can tell you which label needs to be the product that should be on your counter right now. And then hide the other ones and let them sit for a minute. Um,
That's funny, but
but yeah.
what you said earlier about the water bottle being left in the sun, that
Mhm.
actually is true. There's been a lot of documentation about that where, they now tell you do not leave
Yeah.
disposable water bottles in the car, just one of those kind of grab and go bottles, because it does change the chemical compounds in the bottle and it
Yeah.
can leach into the water. It's actually extremely dangerous. Like never leave stuff out in the sun for any reason
Yeah,
like
because
that.
people would put, like my mom would put like a case of it in her trunk thinking, in an emergency,
I
I have
used to do that.
water. I'm like, that water is probably so toxic right now. Like,
You
no.
are exactly right. I love that the messaging for sustainability really comes through, not only in your product, but just in how you live your life as well. So
Yeah,
you said earlier that you were very lucky to get in a lot of major publications, and that is true. You've been in the LA Times, Pasadena Magazine. Did you say Vogue as well?
I was just in Vogue. I've been Variety because also, again, all people that love my product had reached out and then offered me a spot. So I was, again, super appreciative because a lot of people are like, how did you do that? I'm like, they came to me. So I do feel lucky that way. I have, been doing this for quite a while because my daughter is 16 now. So it's still growing. So again, you have to be okay with if, to be true to yourself and keep your product. Because again, I feel like everything's catching up. It's almost like real estate, right? It's like, why are you buying in that neighborhood? I'm like, because I needed to make, I want it, I don't want to buy in a neighborhood that's already like, I'm not going to make any money off this house later or something. You know what I mean? It's like, it's kind of like you're investing in yourself and it will catch up if you're going sustainable. It's all catching up now. Like I bought in a neighborhood 17 years later, they're finally making it hip and popular and whatever and blah blah blah. So, and that's 17 or 18 years later where there was nothing here, but we had to drive to go to anything in my neighborhood, and now it's literally I can walk and there's stuff. So for me, it's the same with my product. I want to keep it very true to myself. I do feel like it's all changing and growing. I do feel like people are more conscious all over, not just LA. I do feel like they are starting to become more conscious about what they're putting, not just in their bodies, but outside, because it's all going in the same way, whether it's down, on the outside of your skin or your hair, it's still absorbing on the inside at some point. It's not just food that you have to be, concerned about. Yeah. And again, you can recycle all the jars. I put spices in the little ones. Instead of buying Tupperware, I just put, I just reuse my glass jars for all that kind of, or, some people buy the big one and then they have leftover little ones and if they're traveling, they'll scoop some of the big and put it in the little, and that way they can go on their trip for a week. And, yeah, so, um, it's been an exciting adventure for sure. Um, Lots of challenges, lots of success. My small successes, not like, and then definitely the challenges and not getting stuck in the hiccups, because there will be some frustrating ones, but sometimes they lead to a better path. So it's okay.
That is very true. So I always like to ask my guests, share a win that you've had either personally or professionally in the last 90 days.
Ooh, okay. Wow. Well, I've had a few. So like I said, I'm about to get into a store in San Francisco. Um, I got into a store in New York, which is like not being right here, That's what's another kind of cool one that I'm like, I mean, it's just those are the great things. It's just keep growing. I mean, there's no, because I feel like next week something else will happen. I have great relationships with each store, which I love. I'm very tight with all the boutique owners. There's a lot of love there. I deliver it myself still. I'm sure one
Well,
day that's not going to be the case, but it still feels like there's a connection, which feels very old school in a way. You know what I mean? Like, you
but
know,
that's the thing, though. To truly build your business, you have to build relationships. And I feel in
Mhm.
a lot of ways, with the digital age and social media, people think it's like you just push it out there and things just happen, but you never have to really talk to someone. In fact, I had a long conversation with a friend of mine who was trying to help somebody grow their business, and it ultimately failed because they had this. It was an app that they were developing, and the people that developed it, they didn't want to talk to anybody. They didn't want to talk to customers. They're like, no, 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 they'll just use the app. It's like, no, you've got to go build relationships with these various other businesses you're trying to work with, and convince them first why it's their solution. And they didn't want to do that. They didn't want to have conversations, and that was kind of
Yeah.
the end of it.
Yeah.
So I think,
Yeah. And
we're in
I'm
a lucky
learning.
space. Yeah, we're in a lucky space now, though, with something like social media, because you can have those one-on-one conversations still, using it correctly. And I do notice that you do use Instagram very well. You have really great, great posts
Yeah.
that you put up. I mean, they're engaging, they're
I try to keep
entertaining,
it real.
they're
Yeah.
educational. So, very smart move on that part. So, moving forward, then, what do you think is the next step for your business beyond? So, you said you're going to be in a bunch more stores. Maybe where would it ultimately you like to see your company go in the next year?
I would like to definitely see more online sales, because obviously that you make more money there. So I am actually rebuilding my website right now, because I'm getting consciously aware of all, like, the, again, I get Instagram, all that. Before, I don't like being in the limelight. I'm not actually very comfortable speaking. So that's like, everyone's like, well, we need to see your face. So I started with doing the pop-ups. And the pop-ups, I'm more comfortable in person, one-on-one. If you put me on a stage, I probably like lose, be a nervous Nelly, but I'm getting used to it all. And then same with the Instagram. Everyone's like, we want to see you. And I'm like, oh God, like, okay, that's more than I just want to make my Butta. And so, I'm getting more like, you're my first podcast, to be honest. So it's like, I'm now just again saying yes to stuff. And if I flop, if I look silly, then I look silly. You know what I mean? It's just me. I'm just trying to be yeah, I'm just being authentically me, I guess. I can't change that, because I'm learning as I'm going. I'm definitely learning as I was going. And I know that today's times, it's more, you have to sell your product, and you have to be maybe the face of your product too. You're not just hiring actors or you're not just, hiding behind the product. And then, even though if the product's great, they still want the story. And now I'm willing to share it more. I'm more comfortable, and again, it's because of the pop-ups, and then being asked to do a podcast, or showing up at my stores in person. I've just gotten more and more comfortable, you know, and everyone's like, well, it's your product. You sell it the best because you know everything about it. You know, I'm like, you're right. That's so true.
Yeah,
If I can help anyone.
people connect with stories, and they definitely want to. I want to know who's behind the brand, which is why I was so excited when you agreed to come on the podcast, because it has been delightful to talk to you.
Oh, thank you
Tell
so
everybody
much.
listening real quickly what your website is so they can immediately after go buy this amazing butter, because I am now a lifelong convert. So where can we find you
Oh my
online?
God, I gotta have them launch my new website. It's about to come out. And then it'll have all my stories. Everything will be on there. It's yassisbutta.com, which is YASSISBUTTA .com. And then on there you can see the different stores I'm at if you want to go buy it in person or if you want to order online, because I'm jazzing up that website. Um, and then I also have my Instagram, which is Yazzy's Butta. I'm
Or
like,
if you're like your friend that said, I want your product, but I don't want to pay shipping. If you have a store near you that you think would be perfect for Yazzy's butter, you reach out to Yasmin and you say, this store, and also you have to set it up. You can't make Yasmin work for it. You have to say, I've already talked to the owner. They want your product. Here's the information to ship, because I'm not paying shipping. And then
it's
it'll be
hilarious.
your street team, Yasmin. They'll build your network for you.
Oh my God, I love it. I love it. Well,
I
thank
love
you
it. Well,
so
thank you
much.
so much. It has been awesome to talk to you.
Total
You are a
pleasure.
true delight. I know why people
You
connect
made
with
it
you, because
so easy.
you radiate joy. And again, it
Oh,
was my friend who was already your rabid fan who, when it realized it was in the gift bag at the Lacey event, was like, oh my God, I can't believe we're getting this. And once I opened it, she was right. So thank you
I
so
appreciate it
much.
so much. All right. Lovely meeting you and everybody.
To learn more about Yassi's Butta, including ordering online, visit their website at yassisbutta.com. That's YASSISBUTTA.com. Thanks for listening to the Wild Party Podcast. If you're an entrepreneur or professional who would like to be on this podcast, please visit boomtownmarketing.com and click on podcast. We believe that every business has the potential to change the world for good, and we want to support our community to help make the world more ethical, compassionate, and sustainable for all future generations to come. And if you're looking to build your business, no matter what level you're at now, request your free marketing consultation at boomtownmarketing.com and click Get Started.